And here we are again. Evening. It's our Saturday night secret sermon where we do our late night secret teachings of Jesus from, we've been dipping into the Nag Hammadi scriptures, but if we ever finish this thing, I've got Dead Sea Scrolls waiting and some other works, some other forbidden gospels. So today let's talk about the secret book of James. We're going to do a portion called Be Sober, Be Saved. Let's talk about the day first. I got in from work around midnight. Let's see, it was Saturday night. It was pretty busy all night long, just pretty steady. I don't think I have any crazy stories, nothing too dramatic or too embarrassing. I didn't have to feature any items in our meeting today, so I got to lay low and under the radar, which was nice. And yeah, I did it. We had a really good night tonight at work. It was not bad. No complaints. Thank you, Jesus. So yeah, for those of you who don't know, there's this window of energy that is open around or after midnight. And so because of the late hour, there's two reasons. There's just an energetic portal of extra magical boost that is open during the midnight hour and beyond. And so that is when a lot of the mystical sages in Jewish Kabbalah would study. They would study late night and early into the morning hours, because it is said that during those times, even more light and wisdom can be revealed through what you're studying. And another thing is that because you're staying up late, you're putting yourself out of your comfort zone. You are breaking the flesh in a sense of Eucharist, in a sacrifice, to elevate the self, to transcend the flesh. So that is also rewarded. And yeah, I think that was the other. It was like it bled into sacrifice. Like when you put yourself out of your comfort zone and you do it willingly, it gives you a big boost. Like it opens you up for a lot of blessings. I like to think of it as like a video game. I think of it almost like when Mario jumps off a thing and he grabs a bunch of coins or something and he gets a bunch of energy. So yeah, it's really positive for us to study these secret teachings late at night. And so basically the reason why I started doing this was because I'm really interested in the Gnostic Gospels and the Dead Sea Scrolls and all of the extra books that didn't make it in. But yeah, it's just I don't know when I can fit in any more things into my life. So I thought we would just read them together. And so that's what we do. I'll read you the portion poorly. And then we'll go unpack it bit by bit, and I'll give my impressions about what I think I am channeling as far as downloads and impressions. All right, let us begin. So the context around the secret book of James is that it's happening after the crucifixion and resurrection. And so what happened was when Jesus resurrected from the dead, he ascended after, but not immediately. According to these discussions with the disciples, Jesus was sort of appearing to them in visions, that they could see him and communicate with him and connect with him through the eye of their heart, right? So we've been learning that the heart is an information processor, almost like the mind. It's an intuitive information processor, and it's even actually, they've done scientific research. I think there's a company called Heart Math or Heart Science or something like that, and they discovered that the heart actually reacts to things a couple of seconds before the brain does. So the heart is very, very intelligent. So the disciples were having visions of Jesus through their heart, and they weren't ready to let go of him. So in Hebrew culture, after someone dies, everyone gathers around the family and they sit Shiva, and they basically pray for the elevation of the soul of the person who's departed. And so the family, the immediate family and the closest loved ones will pray for that soul for the next year, and they have to do specific prayers and things to help the soul elevate, and to help the soul go through the process of leaving the body and going into the liminal spaces. And yeah, so Jesus had left the body that he had brought with him. I guess he resurrected with the body, but then changed into his light body, I'm guessing, and became a more a substance that could come and go at will, I guess you'd say. And so he was trying to help the disciples let go of his physical form. He was ready to go on into the other dimensions and deal with some other business and like get on to some other projects. But the disciples on earth were like clinging to his flesh, and they really missed their teacher and their master. And not like master, like he was like their boss of them, but like he was like the master, like in Kung Fu movies, right? So they missed him, and they weren't confident or certain in their understanding of the things that he taught them. And that was very frustrating to Jesus. He was like, if you would just listen to me, like, I don't know what else to do here. He was like, I tried to give you like the parables and you didn't really catch on to the parables. So then I'm just trying to like say it straight out. And you're like, not really getting that either. And I have like other things to do and like things that I need to go. And you're like keeping me here, and you're missing the point of all of this because you think that the physical form of me is the most important and real part. And he was frustrated because had the disciples really understood what he'd been teaching them, they would have understood that the soul is always connected and the spirit is always one with one another. And the physical body is great, but it doesn't stop with this. So immediately when someone is released from their body, you're now connecting with them through their personality, through their soul, through their thoughts, through their feelings, through their energy. And it's really, really funny because like I know that certain very conservative evangelicals get really worked up about New Age people, but they seem to actually grasp these concepts better than like the traditional people. Like the traditional realms of Christianity, I feel, are very much still on the same page with the disciples that Jesus was furious with because they were like missing the point and not getting it. But it seems like the crazy woo-woo people that are always like, people are always like, they're demonic. They're actually the ones who understand. And in woo-woo culture, they talk about it like this. When you hear people talk about 3D versus 5D consciousness, when they say, oh, they're living in the 3D, or that's a 3D thing, that means that like they're talking about the physical body, the flesh. And when they're talking about 5D consciousness, they're talking about the fact that we're evolving into a time where we're going to be just as acquainted with the thought realm, the astral realm, the kind of the psychic connection that we'll share between us, the telepathy that we'll be able to share between us. Like all of the non-physical connections will feel just as real to us at some point as the physical. And I think that people are on a spectrum of like getting there sooner rather than later, and some more than others. So yeah, if you've noticed, like some people, for them, the veil is very thin, and you can feel like, oh, you're like so connected with people. And I think that there's a lot of people that have like this like really clear connection, and they don't even know it. Like I have almost a clear channel, I feel like, connected with my managers at work, and I don't even know if they know it, but they always seem to like read my mind and know exactly what I want, exactly what I need. It's crazy. So yeah, so we're getting into a point in time finally now where we are starting to open up our consciousness so that we're not so closed off from each other, right? That crown is opening, the veil is getting thinner for a lot of people. And it's just going to keep going in that direction, you know. The rebuilding of the temple, it's kind of like the rebuilding of how we live and move and have our being in this world. And the temple is going to have like the kind of consciousness that is not bound by like the limits of the skull. You know what I mean? Like we'll be able to foresee how our actions and choices are going to play out and how they could affect us. You know, we'll have that kind of foresight, we'll have clarity, you know, we'll have very clear understanding of like how we feel about something. It's going to be a lot less confusing, but it'll be more confusing on the way there. And it's really confusing when you're trying to learn how to decipher and discern all of these things. Like what's intuition? What's my imagination? What's fear? What's anxiety? Like what's real warning? And eventually, yeah, you just kind of have to trial and error and you figure it out for yourself. You're your own instrument. So you basically learn the very subtle signs that your different information processors are sending you and your different energy centers are responding in different ways. So tangent, but it's related. I think the tangent is related to our portion. Okay, so now we will begin. So this portion is called Be Sober and Be Saved. And so in this scenario, we talked about how Jesus is not really with the disciples physically, but he's there 5D style, right? He's like trying to like be there in their vision and like communicate with them, like almost like it's almost like a seance style, but not really. I just like I'm getting this like cartoon image of like Jesus, like the people are like, come in, Jesus, like you're staticky, are you there? I don't know if you've seen that meme where it's like, Elizabeth, are you there? It's like the Zoom meeting that's like the 1920s like seance. I don't know, it's hilarious to me. Okay, so finally, so the disciples are discussing what they are like, that what they've been discussing with Jesus in their visions, and he's been coming to them sort of like continuing to teach them in this sort of like non-physical way. So in this particular situation, these are the discussions that Jesus and his brother James have been having. And so this portion, basically Jesus is responding to James. Be sober, be saved. So I say to you, be sober, do not go astray. And often have I said to you all together, and also to you alone, James, be saved. So that sounded choppy. I'm just going to go say it again. So I say to you, be sober, do not go astray. And often I have said to you all together, and to you alone, James. Often I've said to you all together, and you alone, James. I have commanded you to follow me, and I have taught you how to speak before the rulers. See that I have come down and have spoken and have exerted myself and have won my crown when I saved you. I came down to live with you that you might also live with me. And when I found that your houses had no roofs, I lived in houses that could receive me when I came down. Trust in me, my brothers. Understand what the great light is. The Father does not need me. A father does not need a son, but it is the son who needs the father. To him I am going. For the father of the son is not in need of you. Listen to the word, understand knowledge. Love life, and no one will persecute you, and no one will oppress you other than yourselves. I'm going to read that again because it was choppy, and I was like sometimes putting the emphasis on the wrong side of the syllable. Okay. So I say to you, be sober, do not go astray. And often I have said to you all together, and also to you alone, James, be saved. I have commanded you to follow me, and I have taught you how to speak before the rulers. See that I have come down. Oh, see that I have come down and spoken and have exerted myself and have won my crown when I saved you. I came down to live with you so that you might also live with me. And when I found that your houses had no roofs, I lived in houses that could receive me when I came down. Trust in me, my brothers. Understand what the great light is. The Father does not need me. The Father does not need a son, but it is the Son who needs the Father. To him I am going, for the Father of the Son is not in need of you. Listen to the word, understand knowledge. Love life, and no one will persecute you, and no one will oppress you other than yourselves. Okay, so I say to you, be sober, do not go astray. This to me is like a few months ago, I was saying, like, for the first time in my life, I felt like super emotionally sober. It was just like, I don't know, I wasn't having like these huge emotional reactions to things. Like for most of my life, my emotions have just been like, wah! But then for many years, like my emotions would still be like, wow! But I could like control myself as they were happening and observe them and like participate in them, but not be controlled by them. But then it was like all of a sudden, like recently in recent months, I've been doing a lot of work and it had gotten to the point where like my emotional responses to things weren't so extreme. But they were, I don't know, I guess they weren't all over the place, or they weren't, I don't know, they weren't sloppy. They were like so much more concentrated, but pure, right? So I think that to say, be sober, don't go astray, I think that it's like, be able to practice that self-control where you can feel all the things and you accept and embrace them, but you're not in resistance to them, so you're not struggling with them, right? So they don't rule over you. You're experiencing something and processing it and letting it pass through. And so the more that you do this, the more that you actually have dominion over how you feel, over what you think. You have more control over it than you think that you do. It's about continuing to make decisions and take actions and make choices that condition to steer you in the direction that you want to go in. Like if I'm having a shitty day and I want to feel good, then I know that I have to be willing to be like, oh yeah, this day is going really shitty, and get real frustrated about it and let it out and be fine. But then not hold on to that. Be able to just shake it off and not let it ruin my day, and continue on and start over fresh in every moment. So being sober, don't go astray. A good example of this is like, don't obsess over a situation. Like, for instance, if something had gone, like people at work, if they have a table that goes poorly and like somebody wants something that's off or weird or unexpected to them, or if anybody like does anything slightly unexpected for some of these people, they get so upset for the rest of the night. But like, let's say they had a couple of like crappy attitude tables or whatever that were kind of rude. An emotionally sober person who does not go astray chooses to focus on the fact that I'm certain that no matter what is going on with them, the light will sort it out. If they don't tip me well, it's okay. Somebody else is going to come in and tip me like huge. And that can happen in the snap of a finger. Everything is fine. I am choosing to have a good shift. I am choosing to be in a good mood. I am choosing to let this go and not hold on to it and just move on into the next moment. I'm not going to live in the past anymore. I'm not going to hold on to the better moment. I'm just going to let it go and keep moving forward, right? And really just wash yourself of that. The same can be true for having something that you're like super excited about. It's like you can get overly, like you can fall out of balance, I guess. If you, for instance, started, oh, this is a good example. So I remember in like the late 80s, early 90s, Dungeons and Dragons was like huge, and people would get so obsessed that like the kids were like playing it like round the clock. It was like in that South Park episode where Eric was like, "Mom, bathroom," like, and it was causing like all of this scare amongst the evangelical parents that like, oh, Dungeons and Dragons is of the devil because all the children are getting addicted, right? So it's like, don't get addicted to the light that you're getting out of the quick hit, out of the quick satisfaction, or even out of the anger, those bursts of anger, because you can get addicted to stress. You can get addicted to crisis, just like you can get addicted to love, get addicted to sex, get addicted to adrenaline sports, whatever. It's like, don't let those small hits of fulfillment outweigh the consistent eternal fulfillment that you can get when you know that the light is consistent no matter what. But you don't need to get caught up on believing in the flesh suit that it shows up in, or the vessel that it shows up in, right? When Jesus is talking about the Father doesn't need me, the Son needs the Father, the light is everything in its totality. The vessel is basically a husk that's just empty until it's filled with the light that gives it life and consciousness and all of the goodness, right? Okay, so we've gotten ahead of ourselves. And often I have said to you all together, and also you alone, James, be saved. And it's just like, Jesus is like, all right, be saved. Like, he's always saying this to people, almost like, all right, just decide. And like, all right, like nobody's holding you back. And people are probably like, what? Like, how? I mean, like, will you save me? And he's like, you have to save yourself. It's like, it's so funny because we're like taught like, oh, Jesus is going to save you. Like, only Jesus will save you. And if Jesus was here, he'd be like, all right, be saved. And you'd be like, but I thought you were going to do it. So yeah, so just be saved. I mean, it's literally like a choice of consciousness. It's a choice. It's a practice. It's a discipline. And that's basically what he's saying. He's saying is like, I came here to show you how to live. I came here to be like a step-by-step workshop for you, an example, and, teach you along the way, but like show you how I live. And this is how I maintain and keep my energy the way it is, and I'm trying to show you this so that you can do it also, and so that you can teach other people how to live this way too, in this Christ consciousness. Commanded you to follow me, and I taught you how to speak to the rulers. And that is true. Many of Jesus's teachings, he's teaching us how to use peaceful and passive resistance to kind of outwit our opponent so many times, and use the opponent's tricks against him, to use the oppressor's rules against them. By complying in a way that is strategic and smart, you kind of turn it around and use their own, what is it called? You hoist them with their own petard. Is that the hoisted by my own petard, I think is the phrase. But yeah, that's, you basically like trick them with their own game. And so he taught people how to do this a lot with like the Roman people, the Roman soldiers and everything. That was like that whole turn the other cheek, run, pack the extra mile. That was mostly about using like their own rules to like kind of like foil them and like kind of protect yourself, but also like get your power back and assert your kind of power in the situation when they've been trying to make you powerless. Okay, see that I have come down See that I have come down and have spoken and have exerted myself and have won my crown when I saved you. So when we all come to this earth, our souls, like we are here to do what is called tikkun. And that is similar to like karma, but this is like the Israelite version of this. So tikkun is like we are always this soul that goes from life to life, and we choose when we come here our parents, where we're born, all of our strengths, all of our weaknesses, and basically our soul has a blueprint, and we have these assignments, and we have to like overcome our shortcomings, and we have to transcend and evolve. And there are certain assignments that we have to like correct this blueprint and like expand and embody our potential, and to rise above those egoic shortcomings that we carry around. So when it said like King Solomon had finished his work, that means that he had finally finished doing the correction of the soul, and he had ascended in consciousness. So Jesus is talking about how he came here and ascended in consciousness and won his crown, right? The crown chakra is when it's open, we're completely connected and in union with the light. This is where the light comes in. And the crown is the ultimate level of consciousness that any sentience or a consciousness can achieve. And so even when Jesus was in the flesh, he lived up to a Christ consciousness level, which is the highest you can get when you're in the flesh. But even after you have died and ascended, souls still have to be in an elevating process even to get to crown, and you kind of don't even want to go there all the way, because then you're completely reabsorbed into the oneness and the whole, and you don't even have any like individual identity anymore. We're far from that. Don't worry. Okay, so, and I have won my crown. So Jesus completely ascended, and he can move in and out through the mysteries, which are the aeons of ultimate other dimensions. And when I found that your houses had no roofs, I lived in houses that could receive me when I came down. And so I think of this statement as twofold. So I found that your houses had no roofs. I feel that in a sense, it's like we're so exposed, right? We have no protection. We have nothing that is shielding us hardly from the opponent or the outside forces or the elements that challenge us, that break our flesh, that challenge and make us feel discomfort, that make us vulnerable, that threaten our lives and our existence, right? We have so little to shelter us through this. So Jesus was like, yeah, I'm going to come and live alongside of you in this situation, in solidarity and in compassion, and teach you like at your level, like how to be at my level, right? So I will live side by side with you in this. But then I also think that this is saying, when I found that your houses had no roofs, I lived in houses that could receive me. Meaning, when your houses had no roofs, meaning your crown is open, the veil is thin for you, you can receive downloads, you can receive consciousness, you're connected to the light. You understand that. You understand the essence of it. You understand that it doesn't end here, that this is all just the video game. This is all the avatar, and all it really is the light. And everything that is animated, you know, with energy and life force and consciousness, it's all the light, right? It's all energy. So when Jesus says, you know, I came... I lived in the houses that could receive me when I came down. It means that when he talks to people and he's frustrated and he's like, look, if you like, it's up to you to save you. Like if you're, holding on to misery and suffering, I can't do anything for you. If you believe in the lack and the fear and the doubt and the darkness, then I can't do anything to save you. You have to choose the light. You have to choose inner peace. You have to cultivate this within yourself. You have to choose certainty. You have to choose faith beyond reason, beyond seeing. You have to know that more than what you see is there, and you have to be able to believe in something that you can't see in order to receive the kingdom of heaven. And if you don't, then I can't do anything for you, because this is an inside game here, and it's mostly it mostly hangs on you. Okay, so people that can receive Jesus have an open consciousness of understanding. Trust in me, my brothers. Understand what the great light is. It's everything. It's just pure, holy everything. Like not holy, but like whole, like everything, all encompassing. Understand what the great light is. The Father does not need me. The Father does not need a son, but it is the Son who needs the Father, meaning the light doesn't need a vessel necessarily. It's nice to have the vessel for something else to have, but like the light exists without the vessel. The vessel has no purpose except for to contain the light. Without the light, that vessel is empty and it's void. So the vessel is, the ultimate vessel was the space in which the light came into to create the universe that we live in and the physical existence, right? Or at least the physical manifestation of that. To him I am going, for the Father of the Son, to him I am going, for the Father of the Son is not in need of you. So Jesus is like, and I'm going now because I'm the light to you and you are my vessel. And he's like, I don't need you. I don't need you at all. I don't need anybody. But he's like, I am going because I need the light. I'm the vessel, and the light is the light for me. And so, when you look at the diagram of the tree of life, and the like all of these energy centers are like stacked up, and the light is coming down and pouring into each of them, right? And so each higher consciousness is pouring down into the next. And so each energy center can be masculine and feminine because it gives to the other and then it receives from the other. So Jesus is like, I'm the feminine and God is the Father for me. And then for me and you, I'm the masculine and you are the bride of Christ, right? You are receiving the consciousness that he is sharing with us. Okay. Listen to the word. Understand knowledge. Love life, and no one will persecute you. No one will oppress you other than yourselves. So yeah, it's like just open yourself up to these mysteries and teachings, just like we are now. We're just like literally opening this up, reading it together. I'm giving you the understanding that's coming from my heart. And I didn't sit through a theology school and get like a lecture on this, right? So be open, listen to the word, right? This is a living word within you. And so your willingness and openness invites the revelation in, and it is a process, but it's worth having. And that whole process of discovery is very enriching to the life. So love life, or understand knowledge, right? So that's like having discernment, understanding like more than just the dogma of it, more than just like facts and figures. You have a comprehension that goes beyond just getting the material. You have a depth there. You understand the layered meaning underneath, and that there's multiple layers of meanings. And the more you think about it, the more you see about it, and the more you understand about it. And love life. and no one will persecute you and no one will oppress you but yourself. And so it's like, yeah, just enjoy life. Like, this is what we're here for. Like, love it. Like, have a drink, have some wine, like, eat some grapes, get some hummus. Like, life is short, so let's love life. And if you're in full of love and passion and joy and enthusiasm and you're eager for each day, then who's going to stop you? And if you're emotionally sober and you're eager for each day, then when the opponent comes around to like shit in your cereal, you're just gonna be like, oh, fuck off. Like, moving on, like getting over it, like bounce back, be resilient, lean into the next moment and decide what you want your temperature set at and set it there and keep it there. And it's not that it's always easy. It's not. I have terrible days. Sometimes I am like up and down, all over the place, and that's okay. It's fine. That's what it's like to be a human being. That's part of the process. But if we embrace it instead of fighting it, then we will suffer less. Pain is unavoidable, but suffering is a choice and it is avoidable. All right, well, this has become a long video. It's like 35 minutes. And yeah, it's one of those times where I feel like I was insane and didn't say anything the whole time, but I'm sure that something will come out of this one way or the other. All right, you guys, I'm gonna eat dinner and go to bed soon. Ciao.